All right, good morning. It's Saturday, January 4th, and as promised, it is now the time to drop my first app in my 50 in 50 challenge. For my first project out of 50, I decided to build a daily journaling app. And I'm just going to quickly go over the project breakdown before I show you the demo to explain you why I chose this app, how does it work, what is the tech stack that I use. Then I'm going to do the demo. And then from there, explain to you all the things that I did for the first time ever, what are some of the challenges that I faced, and then finally, what's the final score from my point of view, my perspective on this build. The main reason why I decided to build this app first is because if I'm going to do this crazy challenge for a full year, I may as well have a place to document my journey by writing some daily entries into an app. I want to see if I can maintain some of my old habits alongside with this new one of building every day. So I decided to that kind of one I needed to build a tracker into a journaling app. And then finally, I wanted to have a way to analyze how I felt each week, meaning that, after I do all of my entries, I would run an analysis of it and just get like a summary of it. And I'm doing that now with my app by leveraging my AI sentiment mood analysis. Um, the app is pretty simple, neat, and secure. But when I say secure, I mean secure as much as an AI tool and a person that wrote a single line of code can make it. If you do decide to use it by yourself, really take it as like this statement of secure with a grain of salt. It's at your own personal responsibility. Your data is not going to get compromised or anything online. It's encrypted. I'm going to show you that later, but from what I've gathered, this level of encryption is not military grade, so I don't want to make any false promises. Um, Now, the simplicity part and the neatness of it is something that you're going to see in a second. It's fairly easy to use. Obviously, you have your daily entries, you have your habit tracker, and again, you can fairly easily see how you felt every week. To build it, I used Lovable for front end, Supabase for backend. I used OpenAI to enable sentiment analysis. I used Web Speech API to enable voice to text entry. And then finally, I deployed the app on Vercel. It wasn't working stable up until this morning, or better say yesterday afternoon, but now with Lovable fixing all of the integration with GitHub, everything is working smoothly. This is not a web app. This is a web app. Sorry, it's not a mobile app. It's built for mobile first users, as you will see later down the road. For anybody that's going to watch this demo down the road and decide to build a similar project themselves, I just want to share my quick tip. That's kind of the biggest takeaway for me from this build. Make sure to add user authentication as early as possible and define user routes and roles immediately. Meaning, you want to know if somebody's a new user or a logged in user, if they have or do not have enabled a two-factor authentication, if they're an admin or not. Like, the sooner you decide on these things in the planning process, the better, because later when you try to install all of this on top of a pre-built app, it's going to cause a lot of problems for you. That's probably what I lost most of my time on. So I'll now proceed with the demo, the actual demo of the app. And let's go with the landing page itself. Pretty simple. I did not go overboard with it. Again, marketing isn't the primary goal. It's just building. But nevertheless, I've SEO optimized this one to the best of my abilities within such a short time frame. The color scheme, the design was picked entirely by AI, so that's great. I didn't have to do much work there. You can sign up for a wait list. There's a frequently asked questions section, some placeholder testimonials. Pretty simple stuff, really. And then on the user routing side, I decided not to build a separate journey for login and account creation, simply because I was late with user authentication. So I made a mistake early on, and I didn't want to fix it in such a short time frame. But nevertheless, new users can simply click here that like they don't have an account and that they want to sign up. And then from there, I'll just input my email address. And then once you click to sign up, you will get a notification that you need to check your email for the confirmation link. Another tip for you to know about Lovable slash Supabase is that you can ask Lovable to design your Supabase emails and then basically copy the HTML code. So for this build, I kept it really simple, but it's still somewhat customized, as you can see. Then once you click to confirm the email, you're automatically logged in. There's a token built for that, obviously, and then you're taken into this onboarding sequence. So let's switch to mobile view just for a second here, just so that we can see how it looks like on how it would have looked like on mobile. Again, I'm just kind of pointing out what the app does and how does it do it. And then in the next step is the actual onboarding of the user. Well, you can choose the habits that some of them are like pre-entered, pre-built, or add your custom ones, right? So you can decide, let's say that you don't want to use any of these, or you don't want to have any of these, but you want to add gym and then just say daily workout. Okay, and then if you click to add the custom habit, it just shows up right here, right? So, and then when you're done, you just click complete setup and you're taken to the main journal dashboard, right? And in this dashboard is where all the sort of magic happens. That's where you're gonna have your daily reflection entries, your gratitude, all the achievements that made you smile, challenges that you faced and how did you overcome them, and what did you learn? How do you plan to grow tomorrow? So just for the purpose of testing, I'm just gonna input test everywhere. I'm not gonna add entries. Okay, and then let's say you say, okay, I just journaled, right? So I just did one of my habits. When you click to save today's entry, you're gonna be shown a quote. Basically, I've got like 500 quotes selected for this purpose, just to again keep you motivated. And your entry is then saved. If you decide to re-enter anything else on that day, it's gonna override the old entry, right? So there's two things here that you can do. You can completely override on a previous entry, or you can go to calendar, click on that date, and basically edit what you just entered, right? So you can just click the edit button and just edit all the fields that you entered, and it's going to override the old entry. So there's two ways to basically override it, but it's limited to one entry per day. As for the daily habits, this is an interesting one. So the app reads your IP location from your browser, and based off of that determines what time is it in your time zone. So if you're like me in Eastern time zone, in US Eastern time zone, then at midnight Eastern, this will reset to 0. So I have full day to keep adding these, right? So you don't have to like do an entry at 11 p.m. at midnight just so that you can jot on all the daily habits. You can do it early in the morning and then tick off these as you go along. So I journal, then let's say I'll walk later today. If I click that I walked, then it's going to record it for that day and it's going to reset at midnight. So that way, when you go to the calendar and you go to this day tomorrow, you're going to have a complete entry for that day. Once you have a complete entry for at least one day, you can go to the journey section and run your analysis. Where I'm going to show you, I'm going to log into my profile that I've been actually using every day now to show you how it looks like. Because there's not enough entries. And again, the entries like test, test, test. We're not going to get a good analysis here. And then another thing that I decided to add here are the achievement badges. So again, I'm going to show you in my profile how does it look like when you achieve a 10-day streak or something. But basically, I just made this to motivate people to continue on their journey of getting down or getting all the habits done that they've set out to. Speaking of habits, it's a good segue. You can decide at any given point in time to remove any of the habits that you have tracked in the past or add a new custom habit. And it's going to be added onto the achievement badges. It's going to be added here on the journal side. So you'll be able to start tracking new things as you go along the way, or just simply delete stuff that you initially added, but you decided that they're not interesting for you any longer. And then finally, on the account section, I've done my best to, to the best of my abilities to allow users to have additional layers of security. So you can enable two-factor authentication using a regular authentication app, generate new backup codes, and add trusted devices so that, you can keep your privacy intact as much as possible. Obviously, it's password protected. And then for anybody that wants to do it, you can obviously click to delete your account and remove it. I've added this thing, which I felt was nice. I just kind of wanted to guilt people into not deleting it by saying everything that they're going to lose by doing so. So I felt that was cool. And I'm just going to show you now the parts of the tech stack. Like, again, if you haven't used Lovable, this is how it looks like. It's basically an AI code builder, and you can do pretty complex stuff or pretty simple stuff like I just did. Like I just did SEO with it, just changed the meta description and everything else last night just to make sure that there's some level of SEO optimizations. But I've made almost 200 entries, so I'm not happy with that. Usually I will build an app in way less. I think I made I had a couple of challenges, and I'm going to talk about them in a second. What I did want to show you now is the encryption part, because that's one of the things that I've done for the first time ever. As you can see, this is a new user that was just created, and I cannot see their journal entry. I've also done journal analysis for myself, and the sentiment and the common themes are all encrypted. So again, I don't want to guarantee that this is level of encryption that can't be cracked or anything like that, but it's something that I'm super proud of because I've never even thought about doing anything similar. As for deployment, again, I used Vercel. If you buy a domain, I did bought the domain this time around. I'm usually not going to do it, but I decided to do it this time. Deployment in Vercel is very simple. If you have never done it before, let me know. I'll kind of guide you through it. I've done it for the first time myself. It looked really, really simple. Let's go back here and just talk about other things that I've done for the first time aside from encryption. So setting up two-factor was very interesting, and a password reset. It took a little bit longer on the two-factor side, I gotta admit, because I didn't think of all the things that you need to do alongside it, like resetting the backup codes and having all that logic built in so late. Like I built it in after I was like 90% done with the app. That was really hard because it broke numerous times. Then I added onboarding journey with data collection, as you saw with the habit stuff. And I also like that I used the custom code to design the streak badges from one of the UI websites. I think it was UIverse. I also never done voice to text feature for user entry. I'm not sure how good it is, I gotta be honest, but it's still there. And then again, I deployed a project on Vercel for the first time ever. That was probably the simplest bit of everything. Now, you're going to run into some bugs and edge case scenarios 1,000,000%. This app is built for me and me primarily, so I'm happy with it. I'm using it. If I was doing a proper level of QA, I would probably find 5 to 10 bugs easily. The build took way more than I wanted it to. It took probably close to 15 hours to build this one. I spent too much time fine-tuning some of the design elements and probably the authentication part. That's only because I didn't do proper planning in the beginning. I just didn't account for the need of all of the security layers that I added later down the road. I also had some Lovable and GitHub stuff, but thanks to Lovable's team's efforts, that's been fixed. So there's a couple of cosmetic issues that might have stayed on there, but it's really nothing that would affect the functionality. So now comes the big part for me, which is the final score and the grading. I want to say that I'll rate the app 8 out of 10 from my point of view. It works, has everything that it needs, but there are some things missing here and there, and there's a couple of smaller bugs. The landing page is 6 out of 10. It's the color. I really like the colors and all that, but like it's not optimized. It doesn't have a lot of content on it. But it was never the goal, right? It would have been everything would have been a perfect 10, I feel, if it took less time and did not have any bugs. Now, for those of you that want to check it out, you can go to this link, journal.lovable.app, or you can visit, so there's the other actual deployment link, which is journaldaily.app, which is deployed on Vercel. I hope you like my app. Even if you don't, your feedback's very much appreciated. I'd love to hear from you in the comments, and I'll see you guys next Saturday when I ship my next project. And as every week, keep shipping.